Hey everybody, we're back in Palm Desert, well, Rancho Mirage. We're at the Palm Desert Memorial Park, and this is part of the Palm Springs Cemetery District. We're here to see Suzanne Summers' final resting place. She now has a headstone, which is, well, it took a little bit to get here. Her husband and family decided for whatever reason to wait about a year, but she was born October 16th, 1946. She passed away on October 15th, 2023. She passed away she dealt with breast cancer most of her life. It was well known, but we're going to go inside, talk about Suzanne, show some clips of Suzanne, and just kind of remember her and finally see her headstone, which should be cool. I'm looking forward to this. I'll show you where to find it if you ever want to come out here. Of course, there's other famous people out here. Sonny Bono, Frank Sinatra's parents, a bunch of celebrities as well, a little bit older celebrities. But let's go find Suzanne and pay our respects.
Must you do that? Do what? Slurp your coffee.
You can hear a train going by right there on the 10 freeway, but it's actually pretty close to Palm Desert. If you ever come down here, it's really easy to get to. It's right off the freeway over here. So just look up Desert Memorial Park, and when you go in, you're going to make a right. So just to get an idea, if you ever want to come by and visit. And Frank Sinatra's to the left. The office is also to the left. And if you go to the office, they have sheets showing where everyone is laid to rest, so you can find them a little bit easier. And it's actually just a big loop, so it's pretty easy to find. So, like I was saying, entering Desert Memorial, you're going to go to the right, and that's my car, but you'll see the Veterans Chapel and you'll know you're on the right path. I was just talking to some nice people over here, and they were out here. This place always has so many flowers, and Christmas time was just unreal. I'll be here next year to film the Christmas time, just because the families come out here and bring full-size Christmas trees. So it's pretty incredible. And this is a newer area that they're adding onto, but now you'll see it just goes all the way back, and they have plenty of room. So this is going to be quite the cemetery when it's all said and done. She's definitely enjoying herself. That's great. Way to enjoy the cemetery. That's awesome. Glad to see that. I'm sure just the laughter of, someone so young. I like it. But this place is more of a celebratory, and I see a lot of cemeteries are going that way, of places. It's not so sad and so dark as it used to be. It's really cool. But I just was looking on my phone, and Suzanne is in section A8, lot 17. So that's what we're going to go find. Okay, so one thing I want to say is, not myself, but a lot of people, and I've been to the cemetery right after Suzanne did pass away, and as I was saying, when you come in, you're going to want to go to the right. Not true at all. You're going to go in. So let me backtrack real quick. What I'm thinking is possibly she was buried there, and that's why there wasn't a headstone, because they were going to put her over in this other section and lay her to rest. Because I was told, and I visited a place, if you watch my first video if you look it up on my channel, Suzanne Summers was buried all the way on that side. And it was somewhat confirmed by some of the people here. Could be wrong. But if that's the case, she was, and then they moved her all the way across the cemetery. So we're looking for section A8, currently at A9, lot 17. So A8 would be right here by the yield sign. And I will show you, there's the office. Sinatra, if you can see the American flags, he will be there by the American flags. People always stop by. Suzanne Summers would be over here.
Great legs.
Thank you.
How do you get them?
I used to do aerobics till I dropped. Then I found Thigh Master. Every single time you squeeze Thigh Master, you strengthen and tone right where you need it. So it's easy to squeeze your way to shapely hips and thighs. Thigh Master. We may not have been born with great legs, but now we can look like we were.
So out in the distance there, you see the entrance. And like I was saying, there's the veterans over there. But when you get to this little strip and you walk all the way down and see this tall tree, there'll be about 3 rows over just in front of it. So I do believe possibly she was moved. Now, Suzanne was born, actually Suzanne Mahoney, to Frank and Marion Mahoney up in San Bruno. Her father was, he loaded beer onto boxcars, and her mom was a secretary at a hospital or medical offices. She was the oldest of 4, and she wanted to get out of her house because she was worried about her dad being abusive. He was an alcoholic. And so she left when she was really young. And she was she won a music scholarship. She took off, she got married. She had 1 child with Bruce Summers back in 1965. She was unhappy. She left that and she went up to San Francisco. So as we walk over here, she went there to support herself and her son and distance her from her family and her older brother and sister, because they both became alcoholics too. So you'll see this tree, okay, that tree right there. And here it is. Without further ado, Alan Hamill, Suzanne Summers. Alan will be here. In 1971, her son Bruce was severely injured when he was hit by a car, and a therapist counseling him only charged them $1 because Suzanne Summers was struggling at the time. Then she finally landed her role in 1976. That was Three's Company, which I loved watching that. This is so cool. Finally, she's laid to rest. I like to see that. It's a great picture, too, as everybody remembers her. And we are one. 1946, look at that. Like I said earlier, 1 day before her birthday. Rest in peace, Suzanne. I personally remember watching Three's Company when I'd come home from school, hang out with my mom, it was before like cartoons were on in the afternoon. So there would be Taxi, Three's Company, and a couple other sitcoms, but I loved, John Ritter was great too. And she played Chrissy. Chrissy Snow was her character in Three's Company, and she was just awesome. She was so good at it. And I think that's what she was known for. I mean, she also did other things out here in the desert. She wrote books. The Thigh Master, of course, was a huge sensation. And just so much stuff. She loved Palm Springs. And I mean, as far as celebrities go, it's kind of cool that there's some that just love the desert so much. So it's one of the cooler things that she is laid to rest here, and Alan Hamill will too. The other cool thing is her and Alan Hamill were just meant for each other. I think that's kind of cool that they stayed together all these times. These people are over here are looking at Sinatra. Hamill and Summers. I was just talking to these people that are visiting out here. And of course, everybody comes to this cemetery to see Frank, because he's Frank, Who doesn't want to see Frank Sinatra? But these people were pretty excited when I told them that Suzanne Summers is now laid to rest and just right over there. So glad to help out. Here's the other fountain. So here's the office. And if you go to the office, in the restrooms off to the right is where that paper I was telling you about, where you can find Sonny Bono and a few other people. Also, Find a Grave is always just a great place to look people up and get some directions. The group is now increased by another gentleman. Love the fountain. So I was just reading up on old Suzanne. When she was 16 years old, she hit her father over the head with a tennis racket to stop his abuse during a drunken rage. He suffered a concussion. The two did not speak for 2 years also. I don't know why these are the facts that are given, but she was the brunette walking along the beach of the opening credits of the first 3 seasons of Three's Company. She was wearing a wig. I did not know that. At the beginning of the 5th season in Three's Company, in 1976, She asked for 30,000 episode to 150,000 episode, equivalent to $450,000 in 2014. It's crazy when you think like the Friends cast all got $1 million an episode, and 10% ownership of the sitcom. The requests were not met. She boycotted her second season. The producers started slimming down her role. She wasn't appearing as much. She didn't have as many lines. And they said, you still have to finish out your contract. When she finally finished her contract, she was at 1 minute a week in taping. She was escorted by a security guard to a soundstage behind the set when she filmed her scenes because she was no longer allowed on the set with John Ritter and Joyce DeWitt. Summers was then fired and her contract expired, and she sued ABC for $2 million, claiming her credibility in the business had been damaged. The suit was settled for $30,000. Crazy. Also, Chrissy, Suzanne, and Joyce DeWitt did not speak for 30 years after leaving the sitcom in 1981. In February 2012, they finally reunited when Suzanne invited Joyce to be a guest on her web series, Suzanne Summers Breaking Through. And one of Suzanne's quotes, and I'll wrap this up almost with that. My goal in life is to become the person my dog thinks I am. True. No one does know you truer than your pets, which is good and scary. So until they start pulling the data from your pets and seeing what you're really up to, that's what you got to watch out for. But all right, I think these people are about okay. I can make my way over there, show you where Frank is, and then we'll wrap it up with Suzanne. I'm walking down from the office. If you're out the office, it's about, well, where that big tree is, just straight down and look for an American flag, something like that. Interesting thing about Mr. Sinatra, after Barbara, his wife, passed away, I don't know for sure, but it said that his daughter changed his tombstone. Not really a tombstone, more like a marker, but I'll show you this. So Barbara and Frank right here, and it looks like a couple people, somebody had a bottle of Jack for them and also left one for Frank. But here's Barbara and Frank. And so from here, right over there is Suzanne. You'll find her. You got some new company, Frank. I'm sure Frank knew of Three's Company. He had to, right? He probably was sitting at his compound out here over in Tamarisk watching Jack and Chrissy and the whole gang. Always good to see Frank. I always got to stop by. I'm a huge Frank Sinatra fan. Walk obviously. Right down once more. Section A8. It is warming up. And just walk slightly to the left. Now, Suzanne Summers did, she was a kind of a icon. She was a model, people did like her, pretty blonde girl. She did pose in Playboy. And when asked if she was going to pose in Playboy again, she said, that would be really cool. I'd like to have Annie Leibovitz shoot me nude for Playboy for my 75th birthday. That's great. Well, I know they just recently, I think it was October of last year, they had the family come out here in a small service where they put the marker, and that's nice. Glad to see it's here now and being remembered. Rest in peace, Suzanne. Well, with that being said, from Desert Memorial Park out here in Cathedral City, I do appreciate you watching. I really do. I like reading the comments. I like interacting. So please do more of that. Like this video if you like this video. If you want to reminisce with me about Three's Company or Suzanne Summers, send me a message. Gladly answer it. And if you want to know anything about where Suzanne is or just can't find her, it's fairly easy compared to some of the other ones I've been to. Let me know. And I will see you next time. While I'm talking to you guys, I'm looking right here at this tree. Look at this. This tree right here is eating this tombstone. This is somebody's camp, or somebody camp. Died December 16th, 1980, and the tree is just devouring. This is a meaty tree. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That's wild. And then, oh yeah, if you see that tree in camp, this is the last time I'm going to show you. Well, no, that's not true, I tell you. But Alan Hamill, Suzanne Summers. We are one.
Come on. Come on, gentlemen, please. It's a young lady's first appearance on the show. Quit acting like a bunch of deviants.